Good morning, good evening, and good night. Welcome to Ball Guns and Booze. I'm Natalie, this is Eloise. We are going to be cooking today beef dumplings in a hot and sour soup. And it has been panned by Kate Peat, the beautiful Kate Peat of Blue 13 with the Verwood Estates Chardonnay Pinot Noir. So we have already cracked a bottle, so we shall have a glass.
Yes.
And get cooking.
And this recipe seems a bit trickier.
This is our trickiest recipe, yes.
Yeah, but I'm feeling more confident. I don't know, we'll see how it goes.
I have, the only time I've seen beef dumplings, so we're hand making the dough and hand rolling the beef dumplings, making the filling. The only time I've seen it made is one of my son's classmates' mum is Chinese, and we went round to her place and she made beef dumplings and they were delicious. So
Hopefully
see if we can do some justice.
Up to her.
Cheers!
Cheers.
So we're starting with 300 grams of flour.
Plain flour.
Plain flour.
Yeah.
Flour, salt and water.
Perfect.
Easy peasy.
Okay.
Salt.
Just a pinch of salt or?
Yeah, pinch of salt. And 160 mils of water.
Sorry, this is stuck. Thank you. Okay, so we'll add some salt.
150 mils of water.
And then,
Now you can hand knead it,
yeah.
but we are just going to use a mixer with a dough hook. And
Perfect.
form a medium firm dough.
Okay, so we use the mixer, and you need to make sure that you have the right mixing tools, so not a whisk. Going to be whisking this for about 8 to 10 minutes, and it might look a bit dry at first, but it will just take a while for the water and the flour to mix into a nice dough.
The ideal flour ratio may vary slightly depending on the brand of flour and how we measure it. So we measured it by weight rather than cup, which is more accurate. And to make the rapid rolling easier, the dough shouldn't be too soft.
Okay.
So we may need to add a dash of flour and water as we go.
Maybe a dash more water, but not too much, because as it says, we don't want it to be too soft. But this looks like it's not really forming.
I'll let you know. You can see what's going on.
Okay, so we think the dough's done, and it should spring back just slightly, as you can see. It's springing back there, so I think I'm going to say that that's ready.
It's ready.
And does it say that we need to leave this to rest now?
Oh, recipe.
And then you have to knead it again. So yeah, that's nice and firm.
So leave it to rest for 30-60 minutes.
Okay, so we need to leave this to rest for 30 to 60 minutes, and then we will knead it again, and it should be nice and smooth. And now we're gonna
Do the beef
I
filling.
should say crack on then.
Crack on. Because it takes crack on. That's a very English thing.
Okay.
Let's crack on.
So we're going to leave the dough to rest for 30 to 60 minutes, and now we're going to crack on and make the filling.
Very English.
Crack on.
Get stuck into it. Crack on. Okay, so mix the beef, spring onion. So we need a mixing bowl. 300 grams of minced beef. Now our beef No, yeah. Sorry, I'll start again. We're using minced beef from your farmer, which is a local farmer here, and the calves were raised and bred on this property. So they're a crossbreed between the Southern Highlands and the Angus. And if you care about where your meat comes from, then I highly recommend jumping online to yourfarmer.com.au. They do home deliveries in the Sydney region. So mince the beef, the spring onion, which we need to chop.
Okay.
And we don't need to have a discussion about scallions, spring onions, and
we learnt that.
we know all about that. What are we confused? Scallions, spring onions.
Spring onion. I call them a spring onion.
Yeah. What was the other thing?
A shallot.
Shallot.
And just a regular onion. Sorry, we actually really need a few more spoons.
Spring onion. Then we've got ginger. We've got all of our spices in one or not? No.
No, that's for the
Minced ginger. Some spring onion, ginger, Sichuan pepper, all 5 spice. We're using 5 spice powder, rice wine and salt.
And how much salt do we need?
A pinch of salt, whatever salt. Oh no, it was salt was one. It was a little bit more salt than what you. 1.5 teaspoons, so it's measured.
It's already measured?
No. 1.5. And the rice wine, which is the Shaoxing rice wine.
Which one is that? Or both? Do you want
Because
you've got
there
both of these. There's 2 sauces there.
2 sauces there.
Is there a soy sauce that we need to add as well?
No. So 1 teaspoon, so just one. I must have done it twice.
I think they're different. They are different things.
Okay, once.
That smells like soy to me, and that smells like the Shaoxing.
Yeah, that's vinegar. That's soy, which we use for something.
So, how much of this?
So that is measured correctly.
Perfect.
1 teaspoon of Shaoxing rice wine. The salt. So we mix all of that. Swirl constantly in the same direction while gradually adding water and stock into the mixture until the liquid is completely absorbed. So this is when we add our water.
I mix it all up and then we'll be stirring it in the same direction. That's very specific, isn't it? I wonder what that does.
Maybe it's a feng shui.
Potentially.
We're putting all our love and energy into this dish.
I do like those.
So going from a Reiki perspective, to get negative energy going out, we go anti-clockwise. Energy coming in, we go clockwise.
Oh, so am I going the right way?
So you can pick away. I don't know if that works for me, but put your positive energy in your love into the dish and go clockwise.
Yeah, that's the way I was going. So
there you go. Oh,
amazing.
Put it on. My son says he can tell when I've cooked because I've put love into.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
He did before he turned 10.
So what does he say now?
Don't cook. Okay. So all the liquid, until all the liquid is absorbed. And the last of the water, there you go. So then we add the Chinese chives and sesame oil. So we don't have we couldn't find Chinese chives. If you're fortunate enough to live near a Chinese grocery store, then some of these ingredients you'll be able to get specific for Chinese. So we have gone for an adapted Australian version. 150 grams of Chinese chives. So we did weigh this. See if I was. Oh, how's that? Am I getting better?
Yeah, that's good chopping. Definitely. Big improvements. Everyone's going to be expecting some really nice food every day from us after this in the household.
We currently have a household of 10?
10,
yes. 10 people?
Quite a lot.
So they have been loving the food that we've been cooking. We had Chinese duck, we've had
Pavlova,
Pavlova, strawberry pie,
chicken citrus
the
reduction,
gazpacho prawns. So they have been very spoilt. So the chives, finely chopped, and 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. That's what that other one is. There we go. Some recipes there is a very distinct science to it, isn't it? It appears to be.
This one seems like a very specific. Well, it seems specific and quite tricky, but actually, once you start cooking it's not that hard. Sometimes they look very daunting because it's just long and they zhuzh it up a bit.
Sesame oil, stirring well.
Oh, I can really smell the sesame oil.
Yeah, I like cooking with sesame oil.
Yeah, it gives it a nice flavour as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
Done. So then we make the spiced, put that aside for a moment.
Spiced
vinegar.
We just need to pop our ingredients onto the hob.
80 mils of black rice vinegar.
Okay.
80 mils of water. Then there's 2 teaspoons of brown sugar.
Okay, we've used some organic raw sugar because we didn't have any
yet.
brown.
A piece of Chinese cinnamon, so we've just used a normal, again, if you're lucky to be near a Chinese grocer's and you can get some Chinese cinnamon, otherwise we've used standard cinnamon. A 1 star anise.
I say anise, but that could be wrong.
1 bay leaf, 1 pinch of fennel seed, and a pinch of Sichuan peppercorn. And again, we just use normal peppercorn.
Okay, and we're just going to bring that up first to simmer. And
simmer for 5 minutes, covering with the lid. So leave it on simmer with the lid on.
We just watch that to make sure it's up to simmer, and then we'll pop the lid on. Okay, so we've let the dough rest for about an hour, and now we're just going to give it a quick knead to make sure that it's the right consistency, and then we are going to leave it to rest for another 10 minutes or so while we just prep everything else so we're ready to go. And this feels like the right consistency, so you want it to be quite thick. And I think we have some good dough, hopefully. Dough can be quite a tricky one to make. I've always struggled with bread. So we will see. Right, that's all nicely kneaded. Just gonna chuck this back in here, and you can also cover that as well. So we have finished our spiced vinegar, and we've strained it, so taken the star anise and all of those other things out, and just popped it in a little jug so it's ready to go for when we need it. We've let our dough rest, and I think it's looking like a good consistency. Dough can be quite sticky, so if it is, you just want to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto your work surface so that it doesn't get stuck. And wooden boards are probably the best. If you have marble, the flour will just kind of go everywhere.
And see how the dough, you poke it,
Springs back.
it springs back.
Just what we're looking for.
Pretty.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to attempt to make the dumplings. Something I've never made before. So you want to make
Both
it.
dumpling newbies.
We are. I like eating them, but I haven't made them. So you want to make it into kind of like a donut. What I would compare it to, and then we are going to chop it in half as we are sharing the task. We're going to see how they both turn out.
No competition.
No competition. I'm not a competitive
Australia
girl.
against the Brits.
Ooh,
Aussie.
things are hotting up in the kitchen. Okay, so I'm going to chop that in half. And give you half.
Oh, I need flour.
Yeah, use some flour because it can be very, very sticky. And now...
And on your hands as well. Make a sausage.
Yeah.
Roll it. Your
Keeping us
sausage is
company.
longer than mine.
Mine is.
England is taking the lead. Australia is lagging.
I think I'm going to start chopping that. So just into small sections, and we're going to make some really thin kind of pancakes. I must admit I don't know the exact size to go for, so it's a bit of a trial and error. And then you just want to press it down, and then we will also roll that out to make it really thin. You don't want it too thick because then the mince won't cook.
I feel like we should do a
Inside.
practice run.
Okay.
They're meant to actually be thin, they're not a thick pastry. That I think is too big. But anyway, that's
Too
good.
big?
Let's go for that. It's good. It's
I
fine.
think so, because we need room for error for our pinching skills.
Oh yeah.
We're not pros at this yet. Okay, so that was about that much. And then press it down.
When you've got your sausage, and cut it in about 5 pieces, and then from there you will cut them into smaller. It might be, I don't know, these are going to be mixed mashed.
We will see. We can find out which one works best. So I'm going to pinch the rolling pin.
Yeah, really.
And
What I might do is I might press them and then you roll them up.
yep, fine. Good to go. Good little system
Here's a baby
going
one.
on. Yeah, see, mine are a bit bigger, maybe too big.
So press, pass on to the rolling department.
These are very different size to mine. I've got. Maybe that just shows that I like my big portions. I think that's too small. We're not going to do it anymore.
No, it's not. But just roll it anyway because it's fun and Benji will like it.
Very cute.
Benji will like it. Some more flour. So I'm actually going to try this recipe gluten-free because my son loves Chinese dumplings and I can never find a preservative-free, gluten-free. So tapioca flour or arrowroot flour go really well in this recipe.
So these are using tapioca flour?
This is using
just as usual.
normal flour. Because this is about food and wine pairing, not about healthy eating for children.
These may be a bit too. They need to be more round because they're kind of coming out oblong.
We've swapped duties.
I was slacking. Not the
No,
best,
we're just
not the best
trying
roller.
out different ways to do.
But I think you're better.
Yeah, something I'm better at in the kitchen other than peeling prawns.
There's lots of things.
I think I'm better at this.
I don't know. I could rival you maybe, but
Let's
We'll
not
have
have
to
a
see.
competition. Because I know you would beat me.
I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't think it is.
At your age is where it's meant to be. So if you've been, welcome back. If you've been wondering why we look 10 years older than what we did when we started this recipe,
It's because we've been trying to make 30 dumplings.
we've been spending 10 years
bit of a
perfecting
task.
dumplings.
But I think we have the perfect circle and we can move on to our next step. Let's hope the sauce hasn't
It doesn't take us another 10 years to actually fold the dumplings.
Oh my god, that was so much fun!
I missed you! The last one. Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. I don't know how the rest of it goes. Okay, so my good friend Jade showed me, and as you go, you're going to learn how much meat to put in and stuff, huh? 2 to there, and then this one's a bit wonky. Just press it in. These are the traditional style dumplings. There,
So
that's
it's
a bit
like a little
not
Cornish
so
pasty.
not so pretty, that one. That's okay. That.
I went like that.
Mm.
I have too much.
Too much
And
meat.
then-
Don't put too much meat because we've got a lot. Okay, like that. Like that. No.
Okay, just gonna do that much. So I folded it over,
Yep.
and then I kind of just went like that.
Oh.
Oh, it's quite nice. It's very therapeutic.
Yours is much better. Dodgy. Not dodgy. Dodgy. Not dodgy.
So we are now toasting some sesame seeds to pop in the soup. So we're gonna just heat a pan up. You want a non-stick pan, and you don't need any oil or anything like that for this.
Eloise, were you aware that the sweet and sour sauce came from the Hunan province in China? That's where COVID came from. Let's redo that again. That's where COVID came from. Serious? Oh, it was Wuhan. Wuhan is COVID, isn't it?
It is.
That's the Hunan. Okay, ready?
Hoist.
Hoist.
Ren. Eloise, were you aware that the sweet and sour sauce came from Hunan province in China? It's very popular throughout the country. The Chinese serve it as an accompaniment to dishes based on fish or seafood, mainly as a dipping sauce. Australian most prominent sweet and sour dishes, sweet and sour pork. Its taste can vary depending on the food served and can be very different from that known in the West, which is us. Sweet and sour chicken and pork, considered by us to be very popular dishes in Chinese cuisine, are not typically Chinese recipes. Astonishing. In fact, it was the restaurateurs from Chinese immigration who invented these dishes to adapt to the taste of our Western palates. That's very clever. The Chinese are very clever at adapting. Seeing that their spicy recipes were not unanimous, they had to find alternative dishes sweeter. This is how the famous sweet and sour chicken was born.
Because that's how I would know sweet and sour sauce
Yeah.
through something
This
like
is
that.
very different sweet and sour
Yeah.
soup. It's hot and sour, not sweet and sour.
Hot and sour.
So instead of the sweet, it's hot. So it's the chili.
So it'll be different kind of
Chili
flavours.
with something sweet. We're going to cook the dumplings. So bringing the water to the boil, which that is now. And then we're going to add dumplings. So you want to, depending on the size of your dumplings, as to how many you can fit in your bowl. You don't want to over put too many in because they'll stick.
So pretty.
That's awesome. Now, does anything go into the water, or is it just water and dumplings?
Just water, I believe.
So you want to keep separating them so they don't stick to each other. Can bring that down a little.
It's just water.
Just water. I feel like that's enough. Just
And you
because
cover with a lid, and then we'll be pouring in some cold water throughout.
just throughout
3
the.
times, I think it says.
So we'll leave it with that because we're. Is it meant to keep boiling?
It doesn't actually specify. It says, bring a large pot of water to boil over high heat, gently slide in the dumplings, cover with a lid. When the water returns to a boil, pour in about 120 ml of cold water and then cover. Repeat it 2 more times.
So when they float, it is ready.
But we need to add the cold water 1 more time, 2 more times.
Yeah, a couple more times. So just watching. when it starts to boil. Oh, here we go. I've never done that before. That's clever. There, and then it'll come back to the boil again. Oh, your money bags look cute.
Do they?
Yep.
Oh, very exciting. They do look cute, don't they?
They're quite large, so we won't need as many per person as what we thought. Oh, oh, ouch. Now we have cooked our dumplings, and we are now going to assemble the dumplings. Eloise.
Yeah, tell me what we do.
Oh.
Instructions, please.
While waiting for dumplings to cool, prepare the serving bowls. Pour 1 to 2 tablespoons of spiced vinegar, which is what we prepared, yes.
Yeah, and we'd strained this.
We have strained it.
this.
Yep.
So 2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons into each bowl. So we're just doing 1 for the moment. Add all the remaining ingredients. So we have 1 teaspoon of light soy sauce.
But we're only going to add a...
No, that's a whole... That's
this
one,
for
that's
1
per
portion?
serving, yes.
Okay.
1 teaspoon. Pour it in. Yep. 1 teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of sesame oil. That's... Oh yeah. So half a teaspoon of sesame oil, and it also says 1 tablespoon of Chinese chili oil. As we couldn't get any Chinese chili oil, I've added chili
flakes,
yes, to sesame oil. A pinch of salt. And some spring onion chops, which we are short of. Excuse me. So apologies for that. And some coriander chopped. And toasted sesame.
Toasted sesame seeds. And that adds a nice green to it.
Oh, toasted sesame. Spoon in cooked dumplings along with some water from the pot. Oh, it's the water that we cooked from.
I guess it has some of the flavours and the stock and everything like that. So if we add a few spoonfuls, and that makes it more into a soup.
Yeah, I would fill
rather
the bowl
than
up here.
Because they're all quite strong flavours as well. So.
So I put 3 dumplings in because there's 3 of us doing a tasting. 1.
Oh, they look very pretty actually.
2. And our 3 money bags. 3. Oops.
Perfect.
Ta-da!
I'm very proud of that.
Well done. I was really worried about
Bit of garnish.
that dish.
Yeah.
But cheers. Thank you. So here we are with Teddy, our sommelier, and he is going to lead us through the wine food pairing of the Chinese beef and hot and sour soup with our Chardonnay Pinot Noir. Over to you, Teddy.
Yeah. So we are going to try sparkling Chardonnay Pinot Noir 2019 Verde Estate.
And I must give a shout out to Kate Peets from Blue 13, the sommelier who did the food wine matching of this particular dish. Teddy, I feel like you enjoy or you look forward to doing a food wine matching when it's somebody else's too.
Yeah, I'm trusting, or maybe you can be very surprised by this dish and this wine, because it's very complex.
Not something you would have chosen?
This is?
Yeah. Because it's a beef dish with a white wine, so it's going against the...
Yes, that is, isn't
it? It depends, because we have the sauce, very special sauce, so we will try.
So you'll be finding out as much as us.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So we've been tasting our Chardonnay Pinot Noir all day.
We have.
Cheers.
Been very lucky.
Me likeys.
Yes.
Okay.
Smell great.
It
Smells good?
Yeah.
It looks good as well. I'm very pleased
Yeah.
with that.
Let me smell.
Very good job.
Oh,
be careful!
Oh, lots of sesame seed smell.
And maybe it will be interesting to taste.
The soup and the dumpling?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the soup has a lot of flavours going on,
Yeah,
I
I
think,
think.
from when we were cooking it. Bit of a messy one, isn't it? I need to...
Oh, it tastes good. Oh, nice.
It's different,
Completely
very different.
from the when we tasted the what was the previous one?
Prawn
Prawn.
asparagus stir fry.
Let me try again.
The beef actually goes quite nicely. I think
Yeah.
it's nice because of
It's boiled,
Its
maybe,
components.
so it's
it's very soft. It's not too
Yeah.
overpowering. And the dumpling, the dough turned out really well.
What do you think, Tilly?
Yeah, I like it because it's not too spicy. Very interesting because we have delicate beef and the texture and the fresher of the wine with the creamy bubbles and yeah, I think it's a very good wine pairing. It's very balanced on the palate. Yeah, I like it. I'm very surprised.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cheers. We'll finish this off now,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yeah, please. Thank you.